Right, picture this. It's 1959 and Fidel Castro has just toppled a dictator, seized control of Cuba, and declared himself the champion of Cuban sovereignty. He's standing there, looking at a map of his island nation, and there's this American naval base sitting right there on Cuban soil, Guantanamo Bay. 45 square miles of Cuban territory controlled by the United States. Now, you'd think Castro would march straight down there with his revolutionary army and take it back, wouldn't you? I mean, this is a man who just overthrew an entire government. But here's the twist. He never did. Not once, not even close. And today, over 6 decades later, that American flag is still flying over Guantanamo Bay. So the question becomes, why didn't Cuba ever attempt to retake Guantanamo by force? And more importantly, would such an attempt have triggered World War III? Let's begin. First, we need to understand how America got Guantanamo in the first place. After the Spanish-American War in 1898, Cuba gained independence, sort of. The Americans included something called the Platt Amendment in Cuba's constitution, which basically gave the US the right to intervene in Cuban affairs and lease a naval base at Guantanamo Bay indefinitely. Cuba signed a treaty in 1903 that said the lease could only be terminated if both nations agreed. America pays $4,085 a year for it. Castro has refused to cash most of those checks, but legally, the US isn't going anywhere. Now, here's where it gets properly interesting. When Castro took power, he was furious about Guantanamo. He called it a dagger plunged into Cuban soil. But attacking it? That was never really on the table. And there are three massive reasons why. Reason one, military suicide. Guantanamo isn't just some outpost. It's one of the most heavily defended military installations on Earth. Thousands of US Marines, naval support, air superiority. Cuba's military, even at its peak, would have been obliterated within hours. Castro knew this. Reason two, the Soviet calculation. Yes, Cuba had Soviet backing during the Cold War, but Moscow made it crystal clear they weren't going to risk nuclear annihilation over Guantanamo. The Soviets wanted Cuba as an ally, not a flashpoint for World War III. Any Cuban attack on American forces would have left Castro isolated and defenseless. And reason three, the bigger picture. Castro was smart, really smart. He understood that Guantanamo gave him something invaluable. A villain. Think about it. As long as that base existed, Castro could point to it and say, see, American imperialism, right there. It rallied Cubans around him. It justified his government. It was propaganda gold. But here's the chilling reality. If Cuba had attacked Guantanamo, especially during the Cold War, we wouldn't be talking about a regional conflict. We'd be talking about American retaliation, Soviet positioning, and quite possibly the end of civilization as we know it. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 proved just how close we came to nuclear war over Cuba. An attack on Guantanamo would have been that, but with American casualties. So there you have it. Cuba never took back Guantanamo because Castro wasn't suicidal. The Soviets weren't reckless. And sometimes the enemy you can't defeat becomes the enemy you use.